So what's up with Fitbit? Talk to me.
So Fitbit, they were kind of one of the first big headlines coming out of CES this year. They unveiled the Fitbit Blaze, which is, basically an update to their line. It's a new product, and so it's really kind of like an Apple Watch in its design. When you look at a Fitbit,
Does it still look like I don't want to say rubbery, but you know what I'm talking about?
No, it's kind of a departure from that design. Right. And it looks much more like a smartwatch than a fitness tracker band.
Apple Watch.
But the company is calling it a fitness watch rather than a smartwatch, and we can get into some of the things that it can and can't do and maybe why they're doing that as an explainer. But some highlights, there's a 5-day battery life on the product, which obviously compares very favorably to the Apple Watch.
I want one of those batteries on my computer.
20. I think Apple Watch has like a 24-hour life. It's about a day.
Imagine. Yeah.
It retails for $200. It's kind of on the expensive side for Fitbit, but it's still cheaper than the Apple Watch. I think there's one product in Fitbit's line that is more expensive than that.
Can I get the Blaze in gold like the Apple Watch and pay like $10,000?
They were saying that you
Are
can
you serious? I was just joking.
No, not that premium model, but that there is you can accessorize the Blaze a little bit more than the other Fitbit options, and like you can pop the display out and sub in other holders for it.
I was telling a joke.
No.
And here you go.
Yeah.
And, all right.
That's the beauty of like not overly scripting the show, is we get those spontaneous moments like that.
Wow. All right.
But I think when you look at the product, there are some major design whiffs here, and I've seen some chatter online about it. The product doesn't support third-party apps, and this is something where it's very clear. They're calling it a fitness watch rather than a smartwatch. When you're using a smartwatch, you expect to be able to have third-party apps come in.
That's arguably why the iPhone beat out BlackBerry in the early days, because they were so app-friendly.
Yeah,
like people love apps. So
and you can build out the ecosystem in a much more scalable way if you allow other people to play in your sandbox. Right. And you can also interact. You can have people interact with stuff they're already using on your platform. So like that's kind of a curious thing. It's a little bit of a head scratcher.
Was that a conscious decision? Like, was it just, were they incapable of doing that, or
I don't know if the thought there was like by not allowing third-party apps on there we'll insulate ourselves, but I don't know why they would have done that. It seems like a limiting move for the product, really. One of the other weird things was there's a lack of GPS connectivity, and so the next step up product that Fitbit has,
that's important for running, right?
Yeah, it's something that with the Blaze you can sync up to the GPS tracker on a smartphone. But it is reliant. It's a secondary device because you're relying on the smartphone. And one of the other things, and I think this is another item that makes it clearly a fitness watch and not a smartwatch in and of itself, is users can receive text call notifications, but they cannot respond to them on the phone or on the watch itself.
Well, like you could get a help alert or something.
But like you can be aware that you're getting something.
Right.
But like I think part of the beauty of the Apple Watch and things like that is
got the little scroller.
There's a little bit more built out there.
Yeah.
And so the market
this was bad. This was the bad part.
The market,
ladies and gentlemen,
didn't respond all that favorably to it. I think stock opened at like 30 in 2016, and it's now around like 21, 22.
Okay.
Which is a huge haircut. Granted, we are in a pretty big like contractionary period. Over the last couple days, with like huge China concerns, but like so there's been a market sell-off anyways.
The Blaze wasn't the only problem to the market for Fitbit, though.
Yeah, there have been a couple other issues. So I think one of the things that people that really like Fitbit were kind of curious about is, so they broke out this new product, right? And it's kind of in this go-between area.
And it looks like the iWatch.
And it looks like the Apple Watch, but they didn't add any refresh to the Charge or the Charge HR devices, which are like their flagship, like you talked about earlier, kind of like the rubber band products that they're really known for.
And you would expect a tech company to regularly update their stuff.
Yeah, I think those products are more than a year old at this point. Right. And if you're going to make a splash with a product unveiling, it's going to be at CES, something like that.
Yeah.
So not really paying attention to their core products quite as much. I may be worried, some people. But there's also the news that there's a class action lawsuit against Fitbit coming. And I believe it's, I saw the news coming out of San Francisco. I don't know if that's where the suit will actually take place or if that was the news organization that was breaking it. But basically it has to do with the heart rate monitoring on the Fitbit Charge HR and Surge models. And so
is it too fast or too slow?
The plaintiffs are alleging that it was undercounting their heart rate, and which is something that is probably not good, right? If you think that you're at, I don't even know what a reasonable heart rate is, but if you're 40 below what you should be.
120 or something,
yeah, like it. There are some health risks there.
Was it off by 5 or was it off by 50?
It was off pretty significantly.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like 4. Like someone cited 40 as an example that it was off by.